Welcome back. In the previous lecture, we discussed about file and directory level permissions for a user. Now let's go and modify those file level permissions and directory level permissions for the user accounts. So now let's connect to the server. So now I connected to this server. So before practicing file level and directory level permissions modification, so let's create 3 user accounts, and with those user accounts we'll apply some file level permissions, and we'll try to access from one user 1 to user 2 access and user 2 to user 3 accessing the files. So let's try this. So before that, let's create. So I'm going to use add user command to create the user accounts. I'm just providing the password, and this all information just we can ignore it. And same way we can create another user account, and providing the password, and remaining information is not required. And same way, let me create one more user account, add user. Always remember, as I mentioned earlier, please use add user instead of user add. Now don't need to give this information, that's it. So now we created 3 user accounts and provided the password, and if you want to see, you can just go and see whether they are created successfully or not in the etc password file. And these are the 3 user accounts got created successfully, and it allocated unique ID, and the home directory has been assigned, and the shell has been assigned. So now let's connect to this Linux machine with these 3 accounts as an individual accounts. We'll try to connect to this Linux machine. For that, we'll just open this session SSH, and we'll provide the public IP of our EC2 instance, and now provide the username. So first I log in with the Rajesh user. I'm just providing the username, and I can able to log in with providing the password. I provided the password and I can able to log in. Just clear the screen and go back to the next user account. Now SSH, and now again I'll connect with the Peter and provide the password for Peter so that we can able to log in. No required. And here then the another session SSH, and connect with the Naveen, and now con OK. Now provide the password. Done. So now we connected with 3 different user accounts to the same machine. It means 3 different users are connected to this machine. Okay. So now what we are going to do now, Rajesh create some files and see whether those files can be accessible by the Peter or Naveen. So let's Rajesh create some files. So currently he is inside this home directory. As I mentioned earlier, any user directory if we create, by default their home directory location will be under /home. So if you go and see Peter, the same way you can see /home/Peter, and Naveen user account also same. So every user account will get created a directory called with this username under the /home. So now let's Rajesh create some files here. So touch file1 and file2, and let him create directory1 and directory2. So make directory1. So he created 2 files and 2 directories. So now whether these files and directories can able to access by the Peter or Naveen will try. But before that, as we discussed earlier, so by default, if you look at the permissions of a file, and read write access to the owner, and Rajesh is the owner, and read write access to the group. So this is a primary group of Rajesh, but we did not add any user inside this Rajesh group. So no other user is available inside the Rajesh group, so no one can able to access. And for this is for others, so this portion is for others apart from Rajesh, any other user. So for others it is having only read only permission. So now if it is having read-only permission, then Peter or Naveen can able to access it, or they can able to read it. Why? Because by default it contains the read permission. So now let's try Peter to able to access this file too. But before that, Peter should know the location of this file, where exactly it is. So if you see present working directory, it is under /home/Rajesh. So now Peter should go inside the Rajesh home directory and he can able to access this file. So now let's try. Right now I'm logged in as a Peter. If you want to confirm which user ID is logged in, you should always use ID command, so that it will show you what is the user account and the UID of this user account and JD of this user account is available here. So right now Peter is logged in, and now all are into the same machine. So Peter should go inside the home directory of Rajesh so that he can able to access file 2. So let him go to the cd home and Rajesh. And now if we should check, there he can able to see files. And if you see cat file, he can able to see that file. But as of now, nothing is inside this file. So now Peter wants to modify this file. So let's Peter try to modify this file. Vi file2 and insert and try to write something. This is Peter, and try to save this file. See here, this is read only option is set. So you cannot modify inside this file, or you cannot write inside this file, or you cannot erase any lines or word inside this file. Why? Because this is only read only format. So just come out of this file, and if you see for others it is only read only. So that's the reason Peter cannot able to access it. Now Rajesh wants to give permission to others so that others can also able to access this file. So for that Rajesh needs to provide the permissions. So let's go to the Rajesh session. Now what he want to do, he can provide the permissions. So how to set the permissions here? So for that we need to understand how we can set the permissions, or how we can modify the existing permissions. Here, if you want to change the permissions, you can use the chmod command. Okay, so with the help of chmod command, we can change the permission to a file or a directory. But we have two methods. One is symbolic method and another one is absolute method, or we can call it as a numeric method. So in the symbolic method, you can use option called U, G and O. So along with the chmod command, you can use U in case if you want to change the permissions to the user, means the owner, then you can use U. If you want to change the permission to group, then you can use G. And if you want to change the permission to others, then you can use O. So in this way, for example, if you see U equal to RWX, means whatever you are defined here, by default this will be applied. So if you want to change the permissions for a files or directories, we have two methods. One is symbolic method and another one is absolute method or numeric method. In a symbolic method, we can use with the help of chmod command, we can use U, G and O options. So U is for user, means owner. So by default, whatever the permissions you have to a user, if you want to change them, then you can use U equal to what are the permissions. But always remember, whenever you are using U equal to or U plus and U minus, so you need to understand these three options for user or group or others. So when you give U equal to, means whatever the existing permissions are there, it will erase and it will apply the new permissions which you are giving with this command. If you are giving u plus and the permissions, then it will append the permission. Whatever the existing permission will not erase, and this permission will be added to the existing permissions. And if you give u minus or g minus or o minus or whatever the permission you give after minus, like if you give u minus x, means for user x permission will be removed. So this always you need to remember whenever you want to execute chmod command to change the permissions to a user. And another is absolute method or numeric method. So here this is very easy to understand. So the value is for read, it's a 4, and for write the value is 2, and for execute 1, and no permissions means 0. So if you see this command chmod 755 directory or file name, whatever you want you can give. So here 7 means it's for user. So 4 plus 2 plus 1 equal to 7 means the first user will get all the permissions. And 5 means 4 plus 1 5, which means read and execute permission will get to the group. And another 5 is others, that is also read and execute for others. So in this way you can easily able to change the permissions to a files or directories. So in the next video we'll see how we can execute this chmod command and use this both symbolic method and absolute method to change the permissions, and then we'll try to access those files with the other user accounts. Bye for now.